Today's show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Reduce your ping time and get faster speeds when you game at expressvpn.com/inside. Welcome to Inside Gaming. I'm still not Brian because he's on vacation for one more week, but it's roundup time and we got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Valve's official announcement of the Steam Deck was easily the biggest headline this week. The device has previously been referred to as the Steam Pal, and in short, it's a powerful handheld gaming PC that will allow you to take the entirety of your Steam library on the go. A lot of sites are referring to it as Switch-like, since the Steam Deck also has the ability to dock to a larger screen, but the newly announced hybrid really is in a class of its own when it comes to technical specs and features. For starters, the Steam Deck is being powered by a custom AMD processor that combines a 4-core CPU with Zen 2 architecture and a GPU with RDNA 2 architecture that can support tech like ray tracing and maybe even eventually AMD's own version of DLSS. Essentially, the Steam Deck aims to deliver a portable AAA gaming experience running on decent settings without too much battery drain. It's gonna have 16 gigs of RAM, a 7-inch touchscreen with a refresh rate of 60 Hz, and a resolution of 1280 by 800. As for controls, there's a familiar button and stick layout, but there are 4 assignable buttons on the back. The analog sticks have capacitive touch, and there are 2 trackpads on the front, presumably for games where you would need a mouse, but there are also a ton of other configurable use cases as well. There is also a 6-axis gyroscope, HD rumble, and a 40-watt-hour battery, which should provide roughly about 8 hours of gameplay, depending on the game. If that all wasn't enough, where the Steam Deck might really outshine the Switch in terms of convenience is full Bluetooth support for controllers, accessories, and wireless headphones. Now, here's where things get interesting. There are 3 different models of the Steam Deck based on internal storage. The 64 gig model is priced at a competitive $400, the 256 gig model is $530, and the 512 gig model will cost you $650. All 3 versions will also have a micro SD slot for expandable storage, but keep in mind the dock is going to be sold separately, which at the time of this recording doesn't have a price. However, what's interesting about the official dock is it will have the ability to connect to external displays via HDMI or DisplayPort, as well as wired networking, USB peripherals, and power, but you actually don't need the dock at all. That's right, you can just use a basic USB-C hub to connect the Steam Deck to any of those things, including a mouse and keyboard or even fight sticks. It also looks like the Steam Deck can act sort of like a second screen in some cases, where it's shown displaying Steam messages and UI elements while a game is being played on an external display. The handheld is going to run on SteamOS, which will support both Windows and Linux versions of games, but Valve is boasting that the Steam Deck is highly customizable and you can pretty much do anything you want with it, including installing the Epic Game Store or even wiping the entire operating system to replace it with something else. In a first access interview with IGN, Lawrence Yang, one of Valve's designers, said, "Maybe a better way to think about it is that it's a small PC with a controller attached as opposed to a gaming console." Overall, the whole idea is pretty exciting for both new players looking to get into PC gaming for a mere $400, but also for those who maybe just want a more convenient way to access that crushing backlog they've accumulated on Steam over the years. The Steam Deck is set to launch sometime in December, and by the time you're watching this video, pre-orders have already gone live, but we really should take a moment to commend Valve for trying a few tactics to reduce the amount of rampant scalping we've seen with other recent hardware launches. Essentially, Valve has created a reservation system which costs $5 to enroll in, and you must have a Steam account in good standing, which has at least 1 purchase on record before June 2021. That initial $5 goes towards the total cost of your purchase, and once stock becomes available in December, those who have registered will be prompted to complete their purchase in the order that the reservations were received. Who knows if all of this will work, but it certainly feels like a better system, and at least those who want a Steam Deck can feel at ease knowing that they have a place in line for when stock becomes available. All right, we got some more stories, but first, let's talk about ExpressVPN. Of course, this episode is sponsored by ExpressVPN. I use it here at Inside Gaming all the time for downloading different trailers, and it's an easy way to protect your data. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like taking a call on speakerphone in a public place. You don't know who is listening in to your most private, sensitive information. Don't be that person. Look, if you watch Roundup at all, you've heard Brian talk about it. Your ISP can see every move you make online, and they can sell that information to whoever feels like paying for it. But ExpressVPN will create an encrypted wall between you and your ISP, so your data remains your business. Just open the app, hit a single button, and you're protected. ExpressVPN works on phones, laptops, even routers. Secure your online activity today at expressvpn.com/roundup and get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/roundup, expressvpn.com/roundup. All right, let's get into the rest of the stories. Rumors started swirling Wednesday morning that EA would be bringing crossplay to Battlefield 2042, and not too much later, DICE and EA went and confirmed it with an official blog post saying, "One of your most frequently asked questions is about crossplay. We can confirm it's a function we're looking to build and test for Battlefield 2042. The blog also outlined how crossplay will work in Battlefield 2042. PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X players will be put into one matchmaking pool, while PS4 and Xbox One players will be put into another. And of course, PC and console players can opt out of being matched together. It's probably not ideal for those who want to play with friends and family who haven't managed to snag a next-gen console yet, but it kind of makes sense, and honestly, that there is an option at all still feels pretty cool to me. I don't know, I'm old." If you're interested to learn more about Battlefield 2042, go check out that official blog. It has a ton of information about how specialists are going to work this time around, map size and design, and also how AI soldiers are going to be implemented. It's got a ton of info in there, so I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Final Fantasy and Blitzball fans rejoiced this week when it was revealed that Final Fantasy X-3 could be more than just a possibility. Apparently, a leaked issue of Famitsu that's supposed to come out later this month contains an interview with key developers of the series, including Tetsuya Nomura and scenario writer Kazushige Nojima, who reportedly already completed a rough draft of the story for Final Fantasy X-3, or 10-3 for those of you who might be confused. Unfortunately, according to the translated interview, the project is currently dormant, and if it were ever to happen, it wouldn't be until their work on Final Fantasy VII Remake is completed. So, you know, Nomura's been on Kingdom Hearts for what, like 20 years? And that's still not done, so don't hold your breath. Next up, it was officially confirmed this week that Psychonauts 2 will be getting an optional invincibility mode, and people were not happy, I guess. The long-awaited sequel has been in the discourse almost all week as conversations and arguments around game difficulty, authored intent, inclusivity, and accessibility continues just to be a complete nightmare on social media. Things actually kicked off last Friday when the official Xbox Twitter account tweeted, "Beating the game on the lowest difficulty is still beating the game." The official Double Fine account replied by tweeting, "If you beat Psychonauts 2 with the invincibility toggle on, you still beat Psychonauts 2. Now, that was followed by a sarcastic joke tweet poking fun at those who might be a little overzealous when it comes to taking pride in their gaming achievements and opinions on the internet, which honestly is probably what got those very same people a little riled up, who then went on and left tons of angry comments across social media, web forums, and websites saying things like, "It's not really beating the game if you use invincibility mode. People who play with it should just watch a movie and not play games at all," or even that lazy reviewers and gamers alike are just going to abuse the mode and take some unjust credit, and that these types of features are just pandering to people who say games are just too dang hard. Ugh. Appropriately, Double Fine ended their tweet thread with a more serious tweet saying, "All people should be able to enjoy games, all ages, all possible needs. It's an ongoing and important process for our industry and a challenge we need to meet. We want you to have fun, to laugh, to experience a story that affects you on whatever terms you want." And that about covers it, really. Just let people play games the way they want to, but also this again revealed that there's still a lot of people out there who don't realize that these types of features are built to allow more types of people to experience games. Steven Spahn, COO for Able Gamers, had a great thread addressing specific examples and all the dismissive takes that come up when accessibility options hit the mainstream news cycle. It's definitely worth a read, so I dropped a link in the description. Go check it out. It's no secret, Netflix has been investing a lot of resources into video game related shows and movies lately, but now it looks like the digital media streaming service is looking to get into games. Bloomberg confirmed earlier this week that Netflix hired Mike Verdu, an ex-Facebook and ex-EA executive, to lead the effort as their vice president of game development, and Bloomberg went on to claim that the intention is to offer video games on Netflix's streaming platform within the next year. We've obviously seen a lot of big companies like Amazon and Google try to enter the space, leaving a wake of canceled projects, shut down studios, and honestly a few inside gaming videos behind. But maybe Netflix, one of the godfathers of content streaming, will be the one to learn from past mistakes and get it right this time. There isn't much more information than that other than a few game positions opening up at Netflix. You know, I like that Castlevania show. The Witcher was good, but games is an entirely new ballpark, so we'll just have to wait and see. All right, let's get into a 5-second review. Holy autosaves, full controller support, skippable cutscenes, and a way to make the text scroll a little bit faster. Can you imagine if we had this type of technology when this game first came out 10 years ago? Yeah, me neither. Alright, let's talk about all the video games coming out next week. Cotton Reboot is an updated and remastered version of the classic and iconic Cute 'em Up, now with brand new features and updated visual designs. Play as Nata de Cotton, armed with explosive firepower, to battle a cast of cunning enemies on a quest to acquire delicious candies called Willows. Cotton Reboot is coming to PS4 and Switch on July 20th. Death's Door, this is one I've been looking forward to. Reaping souls of the dead and punching a clock might get monotonous, but it's honest work for a crow. The job gets lively when your assigned soul is stolen and you must track down a desperate thief to a realm untouched by death, where creatures grow far past their expiry and overflow with greed and power. Death's Door launches onto PC, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One on July 20th. Chris Tales is a gorgeous indie love letter to classic JRPGs with a new perspective. Join the newly awakened time mage, Chris Bell, and her fantastical companions on their journey across a dark fairy tale world. Peer into the past, act in the present, and watch as your choices dramatically change the future. Chris Tales launches on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and even Stadia on July 20th. Next up, all 3 DLC add-ons for Frostpunk are coming to consoles. Frostpunk The Last Autumn, Frostpunk On the Edge, and Frostpunk The Rifts expand the original society survival game. As a ruler of the last city on Earth, it is your duty to manage both its citizens and infrastructure. What decisions will you make to ensure your society's survival? All 3 DLCs will be available on PS5, Series X, PS4, and Xbox One starting July 21st. Last Stop is a single-player, third-person adventure set in present-day London where you play as 3 separate characters whose worlds collide in the midst of a supernatural crisis. Last Stop launches on PC, PS5, Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch July 22nd. Akiba's Trip, Hellbound, and Debriefed. I think that's where Brian said he was going on vacation. He's going on Akiba's Trip. Supernatural creatures are stalking the pop culture mecca of Akihabara, and they've turned you into one of them. Their only weakness, and yours, is sunlight, which means there's only one way to stop them. Call them out on the streets, knock their clothes off, and expose their skin before they can do it to you in the HD update of the first game in the Akihabara Trip series. Well, that's definitely where Brian went on vacation. It launches on PC, PS4, and Switch July 23rd. Observer System Redux is a substantial update to the original game, which came out in 2017. In a dark cyberpunk world shattered by plagues and wars, become a neural police detective and hack into the jagged minds of others. Make use of anything they felt, thought, or remembered to solve a murder mystery and catch an elusive killer. Observer System Redux comes to PS4 and Xbox One on July 23rd. And finally, Orcs Must Die 3 is cranking up the scale with all new war scenarios where hundreds of orcs rush at your gates all at once. Slice, burn, toss, zap, grind, and jib massive hordes of repugnant orcs in this long-awaited successor to the award-winning Orcs Must Die series. Orcs Must Die 3 was originally a Stadia exclusive, but now it's coming to Steam, PS4, and Xbox One on July 23rd. Alright, that's gonna do it for this week's episode of The Roundup. Brian's gonna be back next week. It's been fun subbing in the meantime, but I know a lot of you are waiting for the return of the king, so have a great weekend and we'll see you then.